being here. We are going all the way to the Bronx, New York. Our favorite New Yorker, Gerald Celente, joins us from the Trend Research Institute. Mr. Celente, thanks for giving us some time.
Oh, Mike, always great being on with you. Thanks for having me.
Well, I want to say it's always good to hear from you, but rarely is it good. I've got to say, you're not much for putting smiles on people's faces, but you're accurate so often. I want to ask you, right out of the box, we've seen the price of gas go up 33 cents in the last 2 weeks, and now we're hearing people say that this is the reason that it's starting to cripple the recovery the nation's been in. Is this all a big cover-up? What's going on with this?
Oh, no, it'll cripple the recovery. People, you get shell-shocked when you go to the pump, and every dollar that goes into the gas pump doesn't go into retail sales. It's as simple as that. And let's understand, too, Mike, that oil prices were rising before this happened. And a major reason is the devaluation of the dollar. These commodities are dollar-based. Of course, now we have a shock going on, and whether it's being manipulated or not, I don't know. But I do know that the lower the value of the dollar, because these, again, are dollar-based, the higher the prices of oil. Now, here's what's important. The only reason they've been able to keep this Ponzi scheme going is that they've lowered interest rates to all-time lows. So banks are borrowing at almost nothing. When you have inflation, even though they're telling us we don't have any, when you start seeing inflation like this, they're going to have to raise interest rates. And when they raise interest rates, it pulls the plug on this phony economy.
So when we talk about the recovery and we're climbing out of recession, are we really climbing out of recession, or is this all of a shell game to look like things getting better?
Oh, it's a total shell game. They interviewed Bernie Madoff. He did a interview in New York Magazine. There were only two good lines in it worth reading. And one was that the government's one big Ponzi scheme. And the other one was that the game is rigged on Wall Street. The little guy doesn't win. This thing, as I said, you look at the facts. The Federal Reserve lent out at virtually no interest rates and pay me back any time $20 trillion. We found out between 2009 and 2010 through backdoor deals that was just released because of the one-time reporting in that phony Dodd-Frank bill that does nothing to rein in the Wall Street mob.
So what's a bigger Ponzi scheme then? What's going on with the government or Madoff that's in prison?
Well, no. Madoff was just a little player in the Ponzi scheme. You see, that's the Ponzi scheme. Why does the Federal Reserve keep interest rates low? Anybody out there knows that if you want a safe investment, you're not a gambler. In the old days, Mike, you used to put it in the bank and you get enough interest to keep ahead of inflation. They kept interest rates low like this because you don't get anything when you put it in the bank in savings. So now you're forced to play with the casino. And as Bernie Madoff said, the game is rigged. That should have been front page news, except they're talking about, hey, did you hear about Charlie Sheen?
Yeah.
Here this guy, one of the biggest Ponzi guys in the history of the United States, gets caught. He blows the whistle saying that Wall Street's a rigged game. The government's one big Ponzi scheme. It doesn't even make the media.
Well, let me ask you this. I've been reading. What's disturbing to me, I keep thinking at some point all the rhetoric has got to end and we've actually got to do something. The people in the government have to see what kind of trouble we're in. Tell me what this means to you when we see a headline today out of the Washington Times that the federal government posted a $223 billion deficit in the month of February, the largest ever. They're obviously not learning their lesson. What does this tell you about the future of our country?
You got a bunch of incompetents and inepts running the show. What kind of an adult could actually believe a politician? It blows my mind. How can any, I have to tell you, I am very disappointed, particularly in the men of this country. And you look in politics, there's not a man among them. Look at these little weasels when they get caught with a woman, like this guy Ensign from Nevada,
right,
that's resigning. Look at this guy Edwards, a little white boy with his hair parted beautifully, talks about my family values. And look at this guy Spitzer, the New York governor. He gets caught with $3,000 hookers, and he gets his own TV show and on CNN, and he trots his wife out to cry. These are the people that are running the country. Doesn't anybody get it? Look at this guy Petraeus, this so-called, commander of the forces over there, this guy's a Boy Scout. There are no men out there. Look how I love it. What's that woman, Napolitano, the czarette of the Homeland Security?
Yeah.
This woman couldn't run up a flight of stairs. She's telling me about Homeland Security? So you're looking at dumb people, the same people you couldn't stand in high school and college that wanted to become the class president and head of the student council, the suck-ups, the brown-nosers, the glad-handers, the overly ambitious, and with nothing between their ears other than their ego. There they are, folks. They're telling you what to do. They're called Republicans and Democrats.
So all right, with that in mind then, let me ask you this, because you have been scary accurate on a lot of predictions. Your prediction about gold earlier in the decade, you've been very, very accurate with this. What do you see happening now that you throw the monkey wrench of what's going on in Africa and the Middle East, and what do you see happening through 2011 and into 2012? And if after you make your prediction, I'll follow up with what could change that. But what do you see happening?
We're heading to the first great war of the 21st century. And this is what we reported back in our spring edition of the Trends Journal. And what's going on now, you know how they teach you when you're a kid? World War I began when they assassinated the Archduke Ferdinand at Sarajevo. No, it didn't. All these little brush fires. What you're seeing now are brush fires. There are three basic elements of everything that's going on over here. High unemployment, especially among young people. You're looking between Europe and Mideast and North Africa. You're looking between 35 to 50%. They're really angry. They know the deal. They're educated. They have degrees in worthlessness and can't get a thing at home. Corruption at the top of the pyramid all the way down. My saying is, when the money stops flowing down to the man on the street, the blood starts flowing in the streets. And then you're looking at all-time high food prices on people that are living like the Egyptians, their average income, $10 a day. So that's what's constant in all of these. The Ponzi scheme, again, is collapsing. The money junkies at the top took all the dough. Far too few have much too much, and way too many have much too little. And that's what you're seeing. And it's not the Middle East. It's not North Africa. It's Greece. It's Croatia. It's Lithuania. It's Ireland. It's Poland. It's Spain. It's the UK. It's Italy. You're seeing them. The only reason why they haven't overthrown the governments, for example, in Ireland with all this depression that they're going through, is the people are still living with the myth that they can make the change at the ballot box. But considering what the parties are, it's like voting for the Gambinos or the Bananos.
Well, Mr. Celente, your predictions are, like I said, scary accurate a lot of times. Tell our listeners, it's trendsresearch.com is your website. That's where they can find more of your predictions and what you say is coming in the next few months, correct?
Yes, and all the information in the Trends Journal of the top trends of 2011. And they better be prepared.
Yeah, obviously you don't pull any punches. So, Mr. Celente, always good to talk with you, and we thank you for your time.
Oh, great being on with you, Mike. Thanks a lot.
All right, Gerald Celente, I tell you, it's so much fun having that guy on the air.